Thank you, James, very much. Well, good afternoon, members, or good evening, as we should say now, and officers, and welcome to this Planning Committee meeting of the 2nd of December. As usual, I will call out your names, those who are on committee, and if you obviously are here, you could just acknowledge that for me, please. So always start there in any order. No, I believe they're in alphabetical order now, which is nice. Councillor Coleman-Cook.
Here, Chair.
Councillor Orban.
I think I'm here, Chair, yeah.
I disagree with that. Councillor Bayford.
Here, Chair.
Councillor Curry.
Here, Chair.
Councillor Dennis. Councillor Duckworth. Councillor Garner.
I'm here, Chair.
Councillor Hart.
Here, Chair.
Councillor Keane.
Here, Chair.
Councillor Rattigan. Councillor Scott. Councillor Taylor.
Just come in.
Has somebody just arrived? No.
Did you get me and Mick? Did you hear me say?
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'll move on.
Councillor Rattigan, by the way.
Thank you, Councillor Rattigan. Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Here,
Councillor Wright. Thank you. And obviously, I'm here as well. As usual, members.
Chair, it's Councillor Paul Moore substituting Councillor Scott.
Councillor Moore, I will come to you in a moment, okay?
Thank you.
I go through the main planning committee to start with, and I will come back to apologies on the agenda item. Right, few housekeeping and advice to yourselves. If you have technical difficulties during the meeting, then please contact the Democratic Service Officer who is on call, who will attempt to assist you. Today it is Katie, and her number is 577046, and her number has appeared in the chat box. I would ask participants to mute their microphone when you are not speaking, so this minimises background noise and will help everyone who is listening to the proceedings. Microphones must only be used when the participant has been granted permission to speak. To gain my permission to speak, please put your name in the chat box on the right-hand side. And I always say this, members, I think you know by now, I do see who puts their name on and make a note. So if I don't acknowledge you, that doesn't mean to say I haven't seen it. But if I do miss you out at the end of debate, please shout at me. The environment side of things, would everybody present please ensure that their mobile phones are turned to silent and they are not to be used to make or receive calls while this meeting is in progress. Please also refrain from checking emails or conducting other business, and ensure that you are in a quiet room, free from distractions for the duration of this meeting. You also are aware that this meeting is being live streamed to members of the public, and the recording will be available on the Council's YouTube channel after the meeting. The order of the business this afternoon, would members please note that agenda item 4A, that is flats 2 and 4, Scion Court, 3 to 4, Zion Hill, Ramsgate, has been withdrawn from the agenda due to an issue that has come to light with the application. There are no councillors, unless I hear different now, who wish to speak, who are online under procedure 20.1. If there is anybody online, could they please let me know now? Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. I have received apologies from Matthew Scott, who has had to continue working this afternoon, and he is substituted by Councillor Paul Moore. So welcome, Councillor Moore, to planning. Agenda item 2. Are there any declarations of interest, please?
Excuse me, Chair. I'd just like to say Councillor Duckworth gave her apologies.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Curry. Agenda item 3, approving minutes. The last meeting, which was held on the 11th of, well, it was the meeting before, the 11th of November 2020, to be approved by myself. I hope everybody's read the minutes who were on committee then. If I could have a proposer, please.
I'll propose that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman-Cook. A seconder, please.
I'll second that, Chair. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Councillor Orban. Do members agree?
Agreed.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, schedule planning applications and public speaking. Well, there is no public speaking. Again, site visits, members, you're aware that these cannot be held under the present circumstances of the COVID regulations. Agenda item 4A, which I've just mentioned to you, the flats 2 and 4 Zion Court. This item has been withdrawn. Agenda item 4B, which is the planning application of 17 Score Farm Cottages, Ebb Street Lane North in Ramsgate. As this is the remaining item on the agenda and has not been reserved for public speaking, does any member of this committee wish to reserve the application for debate?
Chairman, Councillor Alban, Chairman, I think that we should debate this as this is against policy. So I think members should look at the application, Chair, and then make its decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Orban. That's a fair comment. So what I would do, I'll go straight in to the officer, which I believe is Ian, presenting on this one.
Yes, Chair. I will just present my screen. So the application site is outlined in red. So that includes number 1, 7 Score Farm Cottage. The application is for the erection of a detached 2-storey property with accommodation within the roof slope. The site is located to the west of Cliff's End. So if you're looking at the aerial image here, you have the A256 running in the middle of the screen. On the left-hand side here, you have Cottington Road and Ebbsfleet Lane North. And then the site is where the dot on Google is here, so you can see the relationship with the Cliff's End settlement. So going into a bit more detail, so this is Ebbsfleet Lane North. You have a collection of properties and also the farm. The site is in this area here. So this is a turned around image, but you can see the more detail in terms of the row of residential properties that's present on the road. So the site is the garden area, the side garden of number 1 here. And this is a view, again, of a 3D image from Google, just to show, again, the relationship between the farm buildings and the rest of the properties along this road. This is just another image, just showing the other angle. So showing the properties sort of further to the north, and then the rear of the site as well. So this is the actual site itself. So this is from the front of the site. And this is looking, again, a view slightly elevated from Google, just to show the relationship between property number 1, 7 Score Farm Cottages, and 2 The Orchards, which is the dwelling on the left-hand side here with the site in the middle. This is a further back view, so you can see there's quite a transition and quite a change between the building line of those two properties at the moment. And then the view from the other side of the site, so you can see the properties that are directly fronting the street, the pair there, and the site is just here where you can see the sort of single-story shed that's in the centre of the image. This is a view from Cottington Road of the site. So you can see here that you have the farm buildings in the centre. So the site is approximately in this area here. So you can see that the two semi-detached properties, number 1 and 2 7-score farm cottages, is this structure here. So we are sort of in that area for the dwelling. So this is the existing site plan showing the application site. So you have the shed that I was talking about earlier in this area here. So what's proposed is to site a dwelling set back from the front building line of number 1, but in front of the existing dwelling number 2 and the neighbouring property, with a new crossover put in with access for parking. This is the design of the property itself. So it has composite windows, predominantly aluminium, with then cladding at first floor level and render at ground floor. These are Velux windows in the roof slope, and then at the rear you have the dormer windows within the roof slope to serve the roof accommodation, and then just the rear windows and the design of those. The side elevation, so this is the south elevation. So these two windows are proposed to be obscure glazed and fitted with restrictors to restrict the ability of them to open, because they are casement windows. So they open from the side. And then the north elevation, which obviously shows a window which is also to be obscure glazed and fitted with restrictors. So the dwelling as proposed is a 4-bedroom dwelling. So you can see ground floor here on the left-hand side, the first floor here, and then the roof accommodation on the right-hand side. So this is a flat view of the street scene. So 2 Orchard View is on the left-hand side. So this is the dwelling that's set back from the road, 7-score farm cottages, which is right on the road. So the proposal will situate the dwelling between the two properties. So you can see it's set off away from the neighbour on the left-hand side. So there is a distance there. Obviously, there's a distance, and it's set further forward, as well as the distance to ensure that the parking area is retained for number 1, 7-score farm cottages. And then this is a sectional view from the south looking north. So you can see number 1, 7-score farm cottages here, and number 2, Orchard View at the rear, with then the proposal going in between the two. And you can see those windows that we mentioned in terms of obscure glazing, those windows there. If I just go back to the site plan. So the application is being reported to members as it is a departure from the Thanet local plan, because the site sits outside the urban confines. However, officers have looked at the design of the dwelling itself and considered it fits within the character of the area. The mitigation that's been put in place to ensure there isn't any impact on the neighbouring properties is being secured by condition. But as it's outside the urban confines, it falls as a departure to the plan. And this is because obviously there is, with the allocated housing sites and the urban confines as defined as they are in the new adopted local plan, whilst there is a general need for housing outside the urban confines or the allocated sites is not needed. Therefore, the presumption needs to be looked at as to whether or not we put more dwellings in certain locations in the countryside. However, in this particular context, it's not considered by officers that there is harm to either the intrinsic character of the countryside, or the landscape character area as well. So in terms of longer views, where we were looking at the longer views of the site, it's obviously set in the context of a row of dwellings, it fills in, whilst it fills in a gap within that street scene, it doesn't fill an important gap within the countryside. However, it is noted, and this is commented on in the report, the fact that the site is remote in the sense of when we were looking at the first image, the fact that it is obviously located within a collection of dwellings and business, but it is away from the settlement of Cliff's End. So in terms of weighing up the environmental dimension of sustainable development, it is in a remote location, therefore there will be a reliance on private transportation. And so that is weighed against the proposal. However, as mentioned, there is no actual intrinsic harm to the countryside, nor the character of the area, nor the landscape character area. And whilst very, very modest, there are benefits from providing an additional dwelling, very modest benefits, but they are benefits in terms of the economic dimension of sustainable development, as well as the social side of the test of sustainable development. So therefore, it is considered that the departure can be supported by members, and therefore the application is recommended for approval. We have received the unilateral undertaking to secure the mitigation towards the special protection area, with an appropriate assessment being carried out by the local authority. So it is a recommendation not to defer and delegate, but to approve on the basis of the safeguarding conditions and also the unilateral undertaking that we've received and checked. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Ian. As you gather, it is recommended for approval. So I move the officer's recommendation is adopted. Could the Vice Chair please second?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman Cook. I have two speakers at the moment. Councillor Alban.
Thank you, Chair. I agree with Mr. Livingston. I think the site is sustainable. I think the development is sustainable. I don't think it has an impact. It fits in nicely with what is surrounding it. There's plenty of space, plenty of off-street parking. Design is adequate, and therefore I will be supporting this application, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alban. Councillor Bayford.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is unlike other applications we've seen, which are outside the urban confines. I think it is in a line of houses. It's quite an attractive building amongst a range of others. Care's been taken to ensure it doesn't impinge on the other dwellings. So I will also like to support this application. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bayford. I can't see any other speakers, so I'm going to put this to you, members, to vote for approval. If you are for it, please say for. If you're against, and if you're abstaining, just abstain. So I'll go through your names once again. Councillor Coleman Cook.
For.
Councillor Alban.
For.
Councillor Bayford.
For.
Councillor Curry.
For.
Councillor Garner.
For.
Councillor Hart.
For.
Councillor Keane.
For.
Councillor Rattigan.
For.
Councillor Paul Moore.
For.
Councillor Taylor.
For.
Councillor Wright.
For.
And myself, I'm for it as well. I know I don't get confirmation on the chat line, but that obviously has been carried. Thank you, James. Members, that concludes the planning meeting for this afternoon. I think I've lost a bet. So I thank you all very much. I know it's been very short this afternoon, but as I say, if you can stay online for Mr. Livingston to have a few words. So thank you all very much, and thank you, Councillor Moore, for stepping in. Thank you. Thank you, members. Good afternoon to you. Thank you.